Ian Huntley murdered Holly and Jessica Wells. He had a mysterious past, a little bit of a dodgy one with a taste for young girls, but ended up being a school caretaker somehow. Interesting. Anyway, these two young girls went missing and the whole community was looking for them. They made national and international news because they were missing. And what had happened was Ian had invited them into the house pretending that his partner Maxine Carr was in the house and killed them. So they did search Huntley's house and they did search the school, but they didn't find anything. But it was only because Huntley kept going to police officers who were around the house and school. He was asking them questions, like strange questions, and being very interested in the case, like asking, for instance, how long does it take for a DNA test to come back? Because of this curiosity that Huntley had, the police began to look at him a bit more seriously and did another search. In a storage area within the school that Huntley had access to, they found the girls' Manchester United shirts, and that was when they began to investigate him seriously. Ultimately, the investigation found that he was guilty and he's now detained. Have a look at this little bit of an interview that he does with Jeremy Thompson and see what you think. Can you see that he's being deceptive here? Or does he just seem really normal? Have a look and see.
I don't know the girls. I stood on the front doorstep grooming my dog down. She'd run away and come back a bit of a mess. They just came across and asked how Miss Carr was, as she used to teach them at St Andrews. I just said she weren't very good as she hadn't got the job. And they just said, please tell her that we're very sorry. And off they walked in the direction of the library over there.
I want to say to my baby that your mama loves you so much, and your daddy, this whole family love you so much. And you guys have got to be strong, because you are, I just know, I just feel in my heart that you're okay.
Susan Smith. So we know about Susan Smith, or most of you will know about Susan Smith. Strapped her children into a car and let them roll into a lake and drown. A horrible way for children. There's nothing that I can say that describes the amount of that fills me with. I don't know whether to cry or hit something or what. But anyway, by the by, the prosecution had argued that she had this boyfriend called Tom Finlay, had recently broken up with her and wrote her a letter stating that her children were the reason, hence the eliminating of the children who were getting in her way. Awful, just awful. The defence had said that she had mental health problems, she was depressed, etc. However, I would be more than willing to say if somebody's got problems, you give them a little understanding. Obviously nothing justifies what this lady did, but there's some understanding and we can learn from that and to try and prevent it from happening again. However, I don't think this is the case, because the duping delight is strong in this one. Have another look at the clip. Watch for the smiles and giggles. It's Neil Entwistle all over again.
I want to say to my baby that your mama loves you so much, and your daddy, this whole family love you so much. And you guys have got to be strong, because you are, I just know, I just feel in my heart that you're okay.
Mick Philpot made himself a bit of a public spectacle here in the United Kingdom. He'd appeared on daytime TV, including sort of really shabby varieties of daytime TV, and he was basically this man who had 2 women living with him as his sexual partners, had 11 children that he'd sired, and was proud to declare that the girls worked part-time, brought all the money home to him, and he would claim all the benefits that he could from the government, and had no intention of ever working a day in his life. So this is a charming man. So the 2 women that he lived with were called Lisa and Mairead. Mairead he was with first, and at the time Lisa had left Mick, and just him and Mairead and some of the children were in the house. So there were 6 children in the house. The children were Jade, John, Jack, Jesse and Jake, and Dwayne, who was the older brother. And what had happened was Lisa was trying for custody of the children. So with that being the case, Mick had thought up this immaculate genius plan that he was laying sort of evidence that Lisa was allegedly harassing him and had threatened to set fire to his house, etc. And in the morning of the hearing for the custody of the children, the night before that, he'd updated his Facebook to say, "This is going to be my day. I love my children with all my heart." But what he'd done was he planned to set a fire at the house and blame it on Lisa, and expected to be able to rescue his children from his house and get custody by making Lisa look bad. This wasn't what happened. They couldn't get into the house and all of the children perished. Despite this, we don't get a repentant confession from Philpot, and this is some of what he presents as in a press conference. Have a look and see how you feel about his demeanour here. That the fact that he's dabbing his eyes but has no tears. This man is a proper article.
Got any questions or anything at all, please don't come through me or my family. Please go to the police, because what's happening at the moment, you're disrupting what these officers are trying to do. So please, I beg you, leave us alone and let us try and live in peace and quiet. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Now we're really getting into the truly despicable as well. Mitchell Quay. So Mitchell Quay courted the media, again appearing on daytime television, being interviewed by the police. Once bought a police officer a hair dye and suggested he use it so that he had more confidence. These are the kind of games that Mitchell Quay played. So he did this for a long time and then decides he's going to show them where he's put his wife Lindsay's body. Now Lindsay was about to leave Mitchell. It was a violent relationship. And when she told him she was finalising the divorce, he strangled her to death. And he shoved her into a bedroom and put pillows under the doors so that the smell wouldn't alert the children that something was wrong. He then enlisted the help of his brother, who was a butcher, to dismember Lindsay's body and dispose of her. They put her head and hands on a garbage tip and they were never found. Her torso, her arms were found somewhere else, but her torso was found buried by a roller coaster in a nearby pleasure park. This interview with Mitchell is where he is talking and answering questions, but if you watch the way he answers them, it's like he wasn't even hiding it.
I haven't done anything to Lindsay. I'm not capable of doing something like that. Like I say, I'm not going to sit here and start saying yes and no to stupid things, stupid questions I've already answered 1,000 times.
And just say again, and it's not a stupid question, it's a very serious question. Did you kill Lindsay?
Wait and find out. Just wait and find out.
She said, goodbye. Well, I said, well, make sure you're back at 6. She went, yeah. And that was it, and then the door closed and she walks out. I don't take precise times and things like that, but when she walked out that door, I know damn well it was 12:10. I called into my clock, because as I was hoovering up the dog's mess by my kitchen, I look up and I've got a great big clock in front of me on the cooker that says 12:10.
Now listen, you've been living in house arrest,
Basically,
almost,
yeah.
for the last 7 days almost now.
Yeah.
How's that been?
Oh, it's been horrible. It's been horrible. Do you know what I mean? The family's, we're stuck inside here, do you know what I mean? We've got all the papers outside, all putting accusations down, and they asked me stupid questions yesterday, like, oh, did you do anything? I said, well, no, I didn't. Excuse my language, but no, I didn't. I'd never think of that. I'd loved her to bits. She's like my own daughter, for God's sake. We had that sort of relationship. It was that sort of thing. It was just, you know, she wanted it, she got it. She's got a loving home. She's never gone without anything, so I can't work it out. What the hell's going on? They're all out there, they want to report the truth.
Sadly, the truth was that while he was doing this interview with the press that he had requested, his step-granddaughter, Tia Sharp, was decomposing in the attic of the house that he'd lived in. Tia was 12 years old. Stuart had a taste for young girls. He'd been video camera now with his smartphone, and it's believed that he made his advance and Tia told him where to go, and he killed her. During the time that everybody was looking for Tia because she was missing, Stuart Hazel led the search with a t-shirt on with Tia's face on it. It doesn't help that the search of the property didn't find her the first time. Note to police officers, always look in the loft. They said they had, but it wasn't until Tia began, well, not Tia, but our remains began to smell that they found the corpse. When that happened, Hazel had got up in the morning, Stuart, and he got up and did a runner. You know, like the big brave man that he is. And he was caught because he bought a bottle of vodka, and they caught him on the CCTV and he was lifted. Happily. I'm glad that he was. But when you look at the emphatic denials, can you see that he's lying? Can you see what other people see? I mean, I know they make these programmes about, you know, how we can see people are lying, but you know, they're always made in hindsight when we know people are lying. So have a think about Stuart. Not too much though, because he's a scrot. But enough to have a look at the face when the lies are being told. And make notes, because you never know when somebody's going to lie to you next. Diane Downs. We should know about Diane, and a lot of people do, and the only reason that I've included her is because she has my favourite duping delight that I've ever seen, in the most horrible way, but it is one of the more glaringly obvious ones. So, you know, if you don't know about her, you should know that she has been described as an utter psychopath, totally without feeling. And what she did was she viewed her children as an inconvenience, so she shot them all and shot herself with a non-fatal wound, effectively just to be rid of them because they were in her way. And then she claimed that a stranger had done it. So have a look at Diane and hope that you never like her. That's all I have to say about her. The glee is just so obvious. Have a look.
And the blood just keep coming out of her mouth, and that, maybe it'll fade too with time, but I don't think so. That haunts me the most.
Neil Entwistle was from Worksop in the United Kingdom.
He had a father that was a miner and a mum that was a dinner nanny. For those who aren't from England, I'll explain that a dinner nanny is a chef or a cook that works at lunchtime in schools. So he came from humble beginnings. But he studied well, he was very clever, he excelled at school and then went on to York Uni where he met Rachel Susie. She was from America, they fell head over heels in love, and Neil felt that there was no future for him here in the United Kingdom, so he went to America with Rachel and they set up life there. They were married and had a lovely little girl called Lillian Rose. However, Rachel and Lillian Rose were found dead on the 22nd of January 2016. Lillian Rose had a bullet hole through her little body that had gone through her torso and into her mum. And Rachel was shot in the head. They didn't find Rachel and Lillian on the first search because the blanket or comforter was pulled up over them. However, on the second search of the house, after having been alerted by relatives who were concerned, they were alerted by a smell and found the bodies. So a few hours after his wife and child were dead, Neil left the country from Logan Airport. He can be seen on CCTV footage trying to get together enough cash to get the ticket to fly back to London Heathrow and then proceeded to scuttle. Scuttle's a good word, I should use scuttle more. Scuttle back to his parents' house in Worksop. So while he was away, a state trooper called Neil at home with his parents and felt that he was going to be doing a condolence call, that he was going to be telling them, you know, I'm sorry your wife and daughter have passed away. But Neil confirmed that he knew they were deceased and said that he didn't know what to do. He hadn't called 911, he hadn't called anybody else, that he thought about killing himself and went home because that was the only place that was familiar to him.
I mean, I think my parents are keeping the eye on me, but I haven't even cried yet.
You haven't even cried?
No. Not properly.
No?
No.
What would properly be? Because usually, my experience is not really a proper way in a situation like this. Things just happen.
Yeah. I mean, that is what it is. No, I shed a few tears. My Rachel at Christmas sent over. We did little presents from Lily, and we sent over these little crystals that people could hang in their windows. She wrote a little note that said, you know, when you see this sparkle, think of me as it being from Lillian. And I walked in my parents' conservatory and saw it, and I started to cry, but it wasn't even that many tears. I don't know what I'm thinking at the moment. I think it's almost because I'm here, it doesn't even seem real. There's just a void.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, it is real.
So, with the strange behaviour, Neil had said he hadn't cried either. Oh, you cat. Neil had said he hadn't cried either, so alongside the strange behaviour and also the fact that Rachel was shot with a .22 and the .22 had her DNA on the muzzle and Neil's DNA on the handle, and they found several internet searches in the house saying things like how to kill people, etc. So
there was sort of research on how to murder on the computer. So with that being the case, there was an international arrest warrant issued for him. And he was picked up at the Royal Oak tube station in London on the tube line. So he was picked up there. His friend had later said that he'd asked him to hide him, thought it was a good idea for him to keep away from the police. Rachel and Lillian were buried in a single coffin, and Rachel's father, Joseph Matarazzo, had said Neil had said that that's what he wanted, and then proceeded to say, because that's how I left, I mean found them. So while he was awaiting trial, Neil was sent to Bridgewater State Mental Health Centre for evaluation. A forensic psychiatrist, Christopher Cordas, and Dr. David Holmes concurred that Asperger's could explain some of Neil's strange behaviour. Now, we'll cover the strange behaviour more than not crying, etc. But they say that he was quite stoic in court and didn't show any emotion. However, there is one point that's quite controversial with Neil Entwistle. During the trial, they show a clip of his wife and daughter, home video and things like that, or pictures. And he has a strange reaction. And people are unsure if he's laughing or crying. I'm going to let you have a look and you make your own mind up. So the prosecution had said that in addition to all these dodgy internet searches, Neil was basically Googling escort agencies. He had a secret life. He was ripping off customers on eBay, setting up dodgy shell companies. He was right up to his neck in debt. He told Rachel and her family that he worked for British intelligence and that he was going to have, you know, $1,000 a month transferred to him, but he was actually living off credit. And he was pretty low on that credit at the time of the murders. He was on Adult Friend Finder and was looking for discreet fun with other American ladies. So the whole picture of this nice family man that Neil Entwistle had built up appeared not to be true behind closed doors, and that evidence was used against him in the trial, in addition to the DNA evidence that was found. The defence argued that Rachel had been depressed and had killed Lillian Rose and herself. The reason one of the jurors had said that Entwistle was ultimately found guilty was because one of the jurors was roughly Rachel's size, sort of height, proportions, etc. And they could not find a way to get the gun to go into Rachel's head at the right angle for her to kill herself, the way that the defence said that she killed herself. So he was found guilty and he was sentenced he was found guilty on the 25th of June and he was sentenced to 2 concurrent life sentences, one for Rachel and one for Lillian. And in addition to that, he was given 10 years probation for the firearms offence for being in possession of the .22, with the condition that he did not profit from his story. So there was some argument that that's what he was doing, that he decided to do this so he could later sell the story and make money back. There was also an argument by the defence during appeals process that it was an illegal search of the property, but they argued back that it was inevitable discovery because there was a welfare check done more than once and they would have found that evidence anyway because they would have been in the house. So there are some comparisons to be made here between him and somebody else that we know quite well. I'll let you make those comparisons. I'm not going to lead with that. But what I will say is Neil's parents still to this day claim that he is innocent, that he could not have done this, and that Rachel took the life of herself and a child. And they still say that he didn't have a fair trial.
I wish to make the following statement.
We know that our son Neil is innocent. And we are devastated to learn that the evidence points to Rachel murdering our grandchild and then committing suicide. I knew Rachel was depressed. Our son will now go to jail for loving, honouring and protecting his wife's memory.
Matarazzo's spokesman, Joe Flaherty, stated, and I quote, "All we need now is the right jury pool. We knew Neil would not receive a fair trial. We will continue to fight for our innocent son with the hope that one day justice will prevail."
Still to this day, at the very latest, I think it was possibly last year or the year before, 2017, 18, his father is still talking to the British press saying that Neil is innocent. So what do you think? Do you think Neil's innocent of these crimes? I mean, even Dr. Holmes, who concurred he may have Asperger's, also said it doesn't justify the crime that he committed if he is Asperger's because he did it willingly and knowingly. So that doesn't absolve him of a crime in any way, shape or form. So anyway, I'll let you think about Neil. Have a bit of a look at the evidence online. There's plenty of it. There's the call between the state trooper and Neil Entwistle that's available. There's also a lot of news articles, documentaries. So have a look yourself and then we may come back to him later because I'd like to do a comparison with him. But to be honest, I don't know if I need to do that because I think it's quite obvious what this person, we again as well with Entwistle, we have excuses for, and I'm going to make a deliberate one, for not taking his own life. He thought about killing himself after he found them dead with a knife, but he was worried that it would hurt. And he wanted to kill himself with a .22, but he found that his father-in-law's house was locked and he couldn't get to it. So, I'll leave that with you. Let's see what your comments are on Mr. Entwistle. And we'll go from there. In the meantime, be as safe as you can be. Something I wanted to add before I go, hopefully you've made it this far through, is clickbaity, conjecture-y titles. This applies to what? Please, 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 please check the facts before you take somebody at that word. Use your noggin. There's not many people who look at this channel who are daft. Use your noggin, check the facts, have a look at the discovery for the Watts case, have a look at what can be proven. So there's proof is proof. Proof to me is a very definitive term. It means that there is absolute proof. So there's something that can't be argued against. Evidence is a suggestion that can lead to a conjecture or a speculation of what occurred. It's just a case of do check everything out for yourself, question things before you assume that they're correct, such as NK being in witness protection. No, she's not. She might have had her name changed, they might have helped her with that, and she might have moved, but she's not in witness protection, because if you think about it, Christopher Watts took a plea deal. So what is she a witness of? She's not. People aren't going to pay the money to relocate somebody under the Witness Protection Act, which is really expensive, when they don't need to. So just think about the logic behind it. Why would she be in witness protection? She's in witness protection if she's a witness. Is she a witness? Not that we know of. So just think it through. Anyway, I think I'm probably preaching to the choir, because I think most people who view my channel know better anyway. However, just to make that clear, do always question things, always take things with a pinch of salt, and see things with your own eyes. And when you have things, it's okay to speculate when you've got things to base it on. So you can speculate, you know, you can say, well, this and this have happened. So could it be that this and this happened? Speculation is a great thing. A bit of imagination is wonderful. But basing a speculation on a speculation is where things are falling down a little. So let's have a crack at it being the fantastic web sleuths we are. Right, anyway. Excuse the scarf, I am ill. And I did say I was feeling a bit crooked. I don't know if it had something to do with that, but bleh. Anyway, Neil Entwistle, the man who didn't cry. Or did he? Or did he laugh? You decide.